We are on there.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this meeting of the Kennebunkport Selectboard. Today is the 9th of April. I'm calling the meeting to order at 6 p.m. The first item is our Pledge of Allegiance. If you would rise and join me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Alan, are you with us on Zoom?
I am.
And Alan is traveling. He is out of the state today, so we welcome him on Zoom. Let's begin with our public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone who wants to address the board. Yes?
The minutes? Do you want to do the minutes first?
No.
No? Okay.
I'm sorry, I've missed doing the minutes, so as I have been reminded, I apologize. We will approve the March 19th and 26th amendments, please.
So moved.
Second.
First and second, any discussion, all in favor? And now in proper order, let's move on to the public forum. An opportunity for anyone who wants to address the Board of Selectmen with any issue that is not on the agenda.
Alan, we need to get an audible from Alan.
I did.
Did we?
I
For
did.
the
Minutes? To approve the minutes?
Alan, have you approved the minutes?
Aye.
I apologize a second time. Thank you.
Okay.
Now?
Yes, you can.
All right, now we will take an opportunity for anyone who would like to address the board on any item that's not on the agenda.
Marina.
Oh, Yanina.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Yanina Nicholas, Director of Support Services. And per board's request, we try to invite our police officers that work for this town and just introduce them to the board, to the community, because sometimes it's hard to spot them, especially at night. A lot of them work night shifts. So we really want to make sure that the community knows who works for you. So tonight we invited Caleb Aportria, who's one of our newer officers. So Caleb was hired in July of 2024, and he graduated the Maine Police Academy in May of 2025. I want to emphasize that ever since Chief Simeone and Deputy Chief Mark Won stepped up in these leadership positions, they really did a good job recruiting younger people and leading them away through the academy and giving them the chance. And these police officers, this new generation is really great. So Caleb lives in Arundel, and he also is an Eagle Scout. So I'll let Caleb introduce himself and say a few words.
Okay, I'm Caleb Portria. I've been working in law enforcement for about a year and a half, going on 2 years now. I originally came to Kennebunkport because of the staff that we had here in law enforcement. I also didn't have a huge draw to law enforcement prior to that, but then I met Sergeant Hafner, and he really drew me in for it, and I've enjoyed it ever since. You guys have any questions for me of what you'd like to know about me in particular?
I understand you were raised in Biddeford, right?
Yes, I lived in Biddeford till I was 10, and then my parents moved to Arundel, and I've been living in Arundel ever since. Kind of enjoy the life.
Guy, glad to have you with us.
So it's an easy commute?
Short commute, yes. Yes.
Well, welcome aboard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to tell us in your year of being here that you've observed?
I think it's interesting how the community really helps us. I think that it's a tight-knit community, and I hope it continues that way. At least with the local businesses, it's a nice connection, I think.
Okay. Thank you, Caleb. Welcome.
Thanks,
Glad
Caleb.
to meet you.
Have a good evening.
I'd like to just take a minute before we go on to the public hearing for the Old Cape to just make a presentation. Joe, I believe you'll be able to address some of the questions that have arisen around the Prelude funding.
Thanks. Good evening. As many questions have arisen of late regarding the history of the mass gathering ordinance and its connection to Prelude, we want to take a moment to provide some context and background. This ordinance was adopted by voters in 1986 following a serious public safety incident during a large event in Dock Square. Its purpose was to ensure that large events are properly planned and reviewed in advance, and that the costs of municipal services, particularly public safety, are covered by commercial event organizers. Historical records show that in the early years, some of these costs were billed to KBA for prelude events. However, over time, that practice morphed, and we have not found a clear policy decision explaining when or why. What also changed is the scale of the event. Christmas Prelude has grown significantly, both in terms of the length of the event and the public safety impacts. Prelude was extended to 2 weekends in 1990. However, the second tree lighting wasn't added until 2011. It is the tree lightings with their mass gathering requirements that drive the town's cost with regards to Prelude. With the significant growth in numbers of attendees comes increased demands on police, fire, and public works. Town staff has studied any available records and questioned previous town employees to gain as full an understanding of past costs as possible. What we do know is that the costs in the earlier years have been in the hundreds of dollars, while later years in the thousands. Especially in the most recent years, due to concerns with mass casualty attacks on events like Prelude, our records show that in the past 7 years, the town has spent about $79,000 supporting Prelude-related services. And given what we have been able to discover from earlier years, the total number for town expenses over the past 40 years would not be greater than $150,000. And the $150,000 is a very generous estimate based on the facts that we've gathered. While the town has supported Prelude for decades, that support has not been consistently defined or aligned with the ordinance approved by voters in 1986. As the Select Board, we have a responsibility to ensure that our actions are consistent with that ordinance, that taxpayer resources are used responsibly, and that all events are treated fairly. For this reason, the Select Board has decided to bring forward the question of funding to the voters in June. It is the board's intent to faithfully implement the decision of the voters. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. The next item on the agenda is item 5. This is a public hearing regarding a new vitulers license for the Old Cape Cheese LLC. Cheesecake, thank you, LLC. This is a new license, and as such, it does require a public hearing. The location will be at the American Legion Hall on Main Street, I guess, is School Street. It's where school, right by the police station, where school changes over to Main. There will be no seating there. This will just be used as a kitchen facility. So I will open the public hearing to take any comments from the public. Anyone in the room wish to address?
Do you guys want to talk about your? Sure.
I'm glad to answer any questions.
Thank you for being here.
Anyone may have.
Yep. And so, hold on 1 second, I'll have, would you please introduce yourself, name and
Sure.
town?
My name is Valerie Lesko. I'm the owner of Old Cape Cheesecakes.
Great. And your town, residence?
Kennebunkport,
Thank you.
Old Cape Road.
Thank you much. So is I. Neighbors. Anyone online?
We do have a hand raised.
Two hands. Rob Wengel,
Russ Grady.
Russ Brady.
Well, if you please, just choose one and let them speak. We'll have them both address.
Okay, first we have Rob Wengel.
Rob, go ahead.
I was actually trying to speak during the public forum that was supposed to precede this. So I don't know if you we're a bit out of order.
All righty. Hold on, Rob. You had your hand up during the public forum?
Yes.
I'm
yes, sir.
sorry, I failed then to address for hands, so you hold on a bit and we will back up and address that. Second hand is Russ Grady on this issue or the public forum?
I also had my hand up for the public forum, not for this issue.
Fair enough. Then if you guys will just stand by, please. Is there any other hands raised?
No.
Hearing none and seeing no other issue on this, I'll close the public hearing. Again, the staff has recommended approval. Thank you. So I'll ask for a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the, no, sorry.
We have first and a second for the license for the Old Cape Cheese
Cheesecake, LLC.
Cheesecakes. And first and second, any discussion?
No,
All in favor?
great cheesecake.
Alan?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. And now, if you'll allow me, folks, I'm going to backtrack and go back to the public hearing. Rob, you were first. If, please tell us what's on your mind.
Am I unmuted now?
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Joe, thank you for sharing that background information, the research you did. I guess I have one follow-up question per request I made to the select board, which is, given the large amount of tax paid by non-resident taxpayers, is the select board willing to augment the feedback from the voters on the June non-binding referendum with some form of a survey of non-resident taxpayers for their input to the budget consideration on Prelude?
Something we haven't discussed, but we will certainly take that into consideration. Thank you. And Russ Grady?
Russ Grady, yeah.
Good evening, am I unmuted?
Yes, you are, Russ.
Okay, hey, thank you, and good evening. I'm a little late to the game. Had a knee replaced and haven't had a chance to get down there, but I'll start with, I know some of you on the board, many of you at Town Hall. I think very highly of you. I'm grateful for the work that you do. But just as some of you have felt the need to vent in the past meeting or two, and you deserve it, I do well, and this is my first opportunity, and I just want to share a couple of things. I don't know all of the parties who are involved here. I don't know who's voiced concern and who's said silly things or stupid things online. I have spent the better part of this year watching these meetings. I try to keep up to date with what's going on in town. And I think back, I've been here 29 years, and this is like tops for me in terms of like things that have upset me or bothered me. Lori, hold tight in your seat, but the Goose Rock speech lawsuit probably ranks high there. You know, where a group of Robert Almeida and 22 other parties sought to privatize Goose Rock speech and restrict public access, and it just feels eerily similar to me, where like we're maybe trying to limit access to and the celebrations in public spaces in Dock Square, which is the heart of the retail and hospitality commerce in our town. And I'll make a bunch of this quicker because I realize some of these points are moot. You've accomplished a lot every 2 weeks that you've met, and I thank you for that. I can't imagine trying to tackle this. One thing that stands out, and it's just, I'll talk about optics and just how I feel and how it struck me, is one, I am grateful for the ear that you're giving all of the residents. The concern I have is the process that I've watched unfold gives the impression that maybe private discussions that have been had between some residents and some individuals on the select board that resulted in the board proposing a reduction in the town budget. And I know we're beyond that now because there's an ordinance in place, or has been in place. But it has felt a little one-sided. It felt like the KBA was there in the public, at public hearings, trying to address things that maybe had been previously discussed between a couple of parties. The other piece is the narrative seemed to change over the weeks. It started off with we're trying to find balance, and it was introduced that item number 12 for the town support of special events, and while a couple of events were discussed, 6 minutes later, it turned to Prelude when Mary Beth made a recommendation to the fellow select board members that why don't we try to split the cost of KBA. So it started off as balance, but then about an hour later, and this is March 12th, and I won't go through all of it, but an hour later, it just turned into, there are a bunch of residents who feel like it's gotten too big. They don't want their tax dollars to pay for it. Talked to, Mary Beth said, talk to a bunch of residents. It's not three, it's a lot. We don't like it. We don't want our tax dollars to pay for it. And ultimately it was stated that we're doing this because there are residents that are very upset. They don't participate in Prelude. It's gotten too big and they don't want to pay for it. And then the narrative changed to the 26th, and it was about mass gathering. So it's hard, I think, to follow. And I think the criticism that is offered in some aspects is valid, because it just seemed as watching the narrative changed every couple of weeks. And it just seems to me, after all of that this isn't really, and it never really was about budget as much as it was about some folks who kind of don't want Prelude to be as big as it is. And I appreciate the town and David, you pointing out, last week or 2 weeks ago, the most recent meeting, that the town doesn't run Prelude and it can't cancel it. But worth mentioning is the town does control the permitting process. The chief of police, consulting with the town manager and code enforcement. And, so the town does control whether or not this event can happen, because it is a mass gathering. It does require a permit. And while the town has issued permits for this event every year prior, this year to me feels a little different. And I hope I'm wrong. So I'm hoping that KBA will submit their permit application as soon as they can legally do it. I don't know if there's a time permitted, but just to get some degree of assurance of what's to come. I'd hate for September, October, or whenever permits are pulled to find that, there's going to be a drastic change. I'd rather address it. I appreciate what was just shared regarding what you all have to do and what was discovered. This to me feels like it could have been prevented entirely if there was just some focus on these ordinances and what we're doing, what actions we've been doing and what actions we should be doing. We probably could have had constructive meetings leading up to it and reached some degree of agreement together. Just, again, it felt a little one-sided, and I appreciate you looking into where it might have stopped or where the decision might have been
I
made.
need you to wrap up a little bit, Russ. It's going a little bit long, but go ahead.
Oh, sure. I guess I think it could have been completely avoided, and
I've got that.
yeah, and I'll end it on that. Thank you.
Yeah, I wish you could have been here in the room and been a constructive part of the discussion. That probably would have been very helpful. So thank you very much. All right. All righty. So I will now close the public forum officially, and we'll move on to item 6. It's consideration of the request of the historical proclamation for the historic district signage and historic district signage. And Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah Vanderschaff. I live at 17 Main Street here in Kennebunkport. And I'll be with Dennis and Andy in just a little bit. As you know, we're coming up on the 50th anniversary of one of Kennebunkport's 2 historic districts. The one that was nominated in 1976 is the one that's largely in the village area of town. It's no coincidence that 1976 was the country's bicentennial, and now, as we celebrate 2026, we're celebrating the semi-quincentennial, America 250. You've probably heard a lot about that. So basically, we're just here to say that we want to acknowledge that it's been 50 years of being part of the National Registry of Historic Places. This is largely symbolic. There's no change happening. We have been part of the National Registry of Historic Districts. We're just saying, hey, yay, 50 years, let's celebrate. The other thing I want to mention is that, as I heard last week, or last time I was here with what Tracy was saying, Kennebunkport is the second oldest town in the state of Maine. And by virtue of that, every place in Kennebunkport has history. And the thing I was thinking is it's like a family that has children, and sometimes you celebrate one of their birthdays. It doesn't mean the other ones aren't special too. So, by celebrating this particular area, we don't mean to not celebrate the fact that there's history everywhere here. And the third thing to note is that there's no cost to the town. We're basically just saying, it's a wonderful thing that people 50 years ago nominated an area that has significance architecturally, and it was a new thing in 1976 to have the National Registry of Historic Districts. And Earl Shuttleworth, who's still a figure in Maine, was also instrumental in helping Kennebunkport get approved way back then. And so I'll turn it over to the designers, Andy and Dennis, who've come up with some really cool ways that the neighborhood can celebrate.
I feel like we're a dance team here. you know. So I'm Andy, he's Dennis,
I'm Dennis, yeah, obviously.
and true to form, my job is to interrupt him. So
sorry.
just be prepared as we present. Part of this, when
Andy, a
we.
little bit more towards the mic.
Yeah,
There
okay.
you go. You can take it off too if you, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that might not be
Okay.
good.
That's
I'll
good.
move myself.
That's good.
Okay. So part of our impetus to doing this is because, one, we're designers. We've been here before, presenting other designs for other people. But we are residents of the historic district, and we also understand its historic significance because part of the 250 celebration, this was the best timing for this. But we also talk about amongst ourselves about the importance of a historic district because it gives everyone a sense of place and identity just for this community, just like it will for the Cape Arundel one when that one comes around. But it's also kind of a boost to the identity, and it does impact on tourism and the economy because, people who visit here, God forbid I should say on the tour buses, but who visit the community, that's part of the fabric of what they're experiencing when they're here. So with that, I will sort of turn it over reluctantly to Dennis so he can kind of give you just a quick overview of where we've been and what things look like.
Okay. Hi there. Hi. I'm Dennis, okay. Now, is there like a slideshow that's gonna happen?
We're working it.
Okay.
So we have the slideshow for the signage.
Yeah, that would.
That's what you want to make?
That's it,
Can we put that up?
that's
Dave?
it.
Otherwise, we'll be using hand
Cue,
puppets.
Yeah.
cue the slideshow, yeah, okay. There we go, look at that, beautiful. Look, that picture, though, that you just had up earlier, I can't wait until we see that green and the grass and everything like that, okay. So, that's just a cover sheet for our little presentation here. You can go to the next slide. If I say next slide, does that help?
Well, I think we're just getting the
Okay,
logistics
okay,
down.
okay.
Next slide.
There we go. So, we were at a meeting, like a little neighborhood meeting, and we were talking about some ideas and everything. So first thing, my thought was like, we live in this historic district, but I didn't really even understand where it all was. So we took the actual map that was part of the survey and used that, and Andy and I walked around the entire neighborhood. And we put some of those red dots in here, just to indicate, on the lower right-hand side, there's a cemetery down there, and then we're up here at the fire station where we are right now.
For orientation.
For orientation, so it kind of expands. There's the post office in here, the town office, and the library. Those are the dots. So the other thing is it consists of Andy's telling me to move on, but I just got to tell you some little trivia, the tiniest bit. 148 structures, okay? Those are all the little structures. It has like 28 different street signs in it. We have 16 streets, 3 lanes, and 1 avenue, okay? That's our district, okay? Next slide. So now we took that slide, now we had to walk around and we had to do some graphic design and everything. So we just took that previous slide, we made it into our own computer-generated image map.
User-friendly.
User-friendly for us to manipulate. So that's all that is. Next slide. Okay. The first thing that we were thinking about is like, how can we do something on
For the residents.
for the residents on a basic level. So we thought maybe there's some things that we can do on people's property in their yard. We don't want to create like all kinds of visual clutter, but maybe there's some ideas. So we came up with some ideas. We went through a whole bunch of design, look and feel images and everything like that, but then we kind of settled on this stuff. And so on the right-hand side of the screen, you see if you had a house, you could have a little banner, you could have a window decal, you could have a disc, a circular element. There was like a lawn sign, or you could have a little garden flag or something like that. Simple little things. And then we also thought maybe moving it into the future, like further down the road, there might be something that we wanted to do as a gateway sign to kind of define the area. But that would be like a secondary thing, and that's over on the far left-hand side.
So I can be Vanna White for a moment.
So
This is a
now wait,
prototype.
but wait a minute.
Oh, wait.
This is
There's
like,
more.
now
Wait,
wait a minute.
there is more.
This is like UPS and FedEx. Like,
Oh.
have you ever heard of like just-in-time delivery? Like 1 minute before we got into the car, UPS pulls up and I was like, okay, we got the flag. We made some prototypes of some of this. So you can hold it up in the air like, okay. Okay. That's a little flag that you see over in the corner. So we said, no, this is like way too much stuff. Let's just simplify it. Let's just come up with a flag and maybe a disc. The disc can be like a lawn type or garden thing. It could be mounted on a fence or something. Yeah, do your Vanna White.
She already did it.
Show it
She
to
did
the
it.
audience, Andy.
Oh, excuse me.
The audience, okay.
Come on, Angie, you can do better than that.
Okay, wait a minute.
Okay. So we came up with some options or some ideas for some graphics, okay? Next slide. That's just a big version of the disc, and the next slide is a big version of the flag, okay?
And the point of it is it's to celebrate, just like for part of the 250, the 50th anniversary of this event that the Park Service had, and to make people in the neighborhood understand they're part of that district.
And the red, white, and blue stuff, it's just kind of ties into the 250 thing. But Sarah, she's the person that said, we had these we're designers, like, so she said, it doesn't say celebrate. Remember, you said it's got to say celebrate. So we said, hey, get that word up there, celebrate. So, okay, so that kind of made it festive and party. And these are just temporary things. They're not like long-term things. Okay,
Move it along.
Okay, good. Okay, there's just a couple more pictures here. So those are like little things that, and you can talk about ordering if you want later or something like that. Okay, you keep going on to the next slide. There we go. Okay, so then we thought, okay, in our distant thinking, like a phase 2, a lot of towns have like these little signs that tell you that you're entering the historic district. They're simple little signs.
And
Nothing involved.
in our work career, we've worked with the National Park Service, so we're familiar with developing programs for identity for towns and historic districts.
Like wayfinding. So there might be like, and we're just put some red dots on this screen here. There might be like 5 or 6 key locations in the town where it shows you, if you're driving in your car, you're entering the historic district. We don't need signs that say like, hey, y'all come back now, we had a great time. We don't need those kind of signs, but okay. So we just, that's all that's going on here. We're just saying like, there might be some sort of entry into the historic district. Okay, next slide. Then again, this is phase 2. This is nothing that we're doing now, but we thought, well, there could be some temporary signs, there could be some permanent signage, but there's all kinds of things that you can do to expand the understanding of what the historic district is, as far as wayfinding, as far as like maps. There can be like things that you, QR codes that you see on a map that you click on your phone and get more information. There can be on the right side, those are more permanent signs that are more like a National Park Service type framework. Next slide. Okay, when we started out on this thing, we did walk around the town and looked. We did take an informal survey of like, where are the, so if we wanted to do something on the name of the streets, what could we do? So we looked at all the streets, where are the street signs? We found out how many street signs there were, where they were located, whether they're like a not cross street, but a crossroad street, intersection street, or a straight street. And we found all those things. We also noticed that most of the street signs that exist right now are on some galvanized metal post, okay? Some are leaning, but they've been there for a long time. That's no big deal. They all have, it's not just the street sign, but they also have all kinds of traffic and directional signage attached to them. And then the third one, you can't really see it in this slide, but there's not really any kind of graphic standards as to the way the sign is right now. Because like on the sign in the middle, it's, I think it's a Green Street or something like that, all uppercase letters. The sign on the far right, it's Green Street, but it's all lowercase.
This is when designers
This is like what we're getting
So
like down
on.
into the weeds, okay. So, but these signs all exist, okay? Go to the next slide. Okay, and this is the last slide. So we're saying, what if like, signage-wise in your neighborhood, what have some other communities done? And so we walked around, we drove around, we went over to Kennebunk, yeah. And we looked, and what they do is they say, here's our sign, that's at the top left-hand corner. They have a thing that says like historic district, the name of the street, and they have a logo, a town logo. Because one of the things that we were looking at, and then the one below it, these things called toppers. You put a thing on the top of your streets, existing street signs that say historic district, and then there's others that incorporate the historic district into the name of the sign. And one of the things that once you start to say like Kennebunkport Historic District, I mean, this is a big long phrase, and the street name is like Oak, so it's like, so there's all kinds of things. So we looked at different signs and the way you can make them contrast and colors and logos and so on and so forth. So that's just a very preliminary thing that we were thinking about. So.
And again, we say this is sort of like, this is not an immediate thing. This evolved out of this idea of the district having an identity, and whether, like, as in Kennebunk, we have the ability to add something that captures that district. And it's also a district that many people walk through as part of our sort of tourism experience for people that come here. So that's, something that we just started to explore and wanted to review and get a response to, a reaction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I hear you?
They could probably hear me.
Okay. I didn't know if you had to say all that again. Okay. All right, well, thank you very much
Sarah, do you
for
want
your
to
time.
Just to kind of cap it off, May 6, 1976 was when the district was officially accepted into the National Registry. So if you would consider just like, as the Select Board, a potential, I know you've done proclamations before where you just, it's ceremonial more than anything. The other thing to know, even though they did comparisons with Kennebunk, is we're not asking to become Kennebunk in terms of restrictions. I know when people hear historic district, the first thing they think is, am I going to be able to do what I want to my house? There are some things I know Galen knows about better than I do, but this has been around for 50 years. We're not proposing something new. We're just acknowledging that it has, an identity. Yeah. Oh, the other thing is, the signs that they just modeled that are the flag, little flag and the little disc. Galen says you do not need a permit for the little disc, but it can only be up for, I think, 90 days. The little flag can be on a lawn, without any time restriction. And we would just do some sort of order form for neighbors who wanted to get one.
So you also mentioned a no cost. I heard you say at no cost
Yeah.
to town, but then I'm looking at those signs. So
Which signs? The ones they showed? Or
Any of the
So the
signs.
idea for the signs that go in people's lawns is that, we're paying for them, and if people want one, they just pay us back, essentially.
So you're doing that as a group, as a
Yeah, like,
historical group? Yes,
Well,
great.
like community, like my
Communities.
neighbors and all
Excellent.
that.
No, excellent.
And then we would want to fundraise as a group of, interested people to help pay for those signage if there's the will of the town to put them up, essentially, whatever that would be. Because we're not asking for the town to pay for any of this.
Right.
And we wouldn't in the future.
So I think in terms of to Sarah's point, it would be good before some of the signs start going up on lawns, to just maybe have something written on the town site about what the historical district is, just so there's not that confusion that we've
Yes.
created something else.
Right.
So that would be good, because then we could showcase one of your signs, and maybe a link of who to contact if they wanted to, if you're in this zone,
Right.
maybe that, but I think we have to educate the residents in terms of what this is, so they're not questioning whether or not they can paint their house.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why part of it is the historic context, that it's been for 50 years.
Right.
And we've been living happily, and so.
But we're not
Right.
establishing something on top of that.
Correct.
I think it needs to be clear. Yeah.
Right, nothing's changing. And I know that there was a great Throwback Thursday post on this too, that you could link to, that talks through the,
History.
the history of it and so forth. So we'll provide any backstory stuff that's useful.
Yeah.
No, I think it's the anniversary. It does exist. It's the anniversary. I mean, you were asking for a proclamation. I think we could definitely work on doing a proclamation on behalf of the town, recognizing this district that does exist.
And match
my
that.
understanding is it's May 6th is, from your sign, is the anniversary, so we can have that done before, maybe the next meeting.
I'd make a motion to approve the historic district proclamation.
It's a thought, but we might want to consider just working the wording and having something that would go beside it on the website. And then maybe we could do both of those together?
Sure.
Yeah,
Would that make sense?
I think some of the wording, we just need to make sure the wording is
Yeah.
right.
But
And
that-
really
and then we
clear,
can do
nothing is
next-
changing
yeah.
this,
No,
No,
this
that's
is
great.
right,
Yeah,
there's
so
nothing.
for
yeah.
next meeting.
Next meeting.
We'll work on both of those pieces. Mary Beth saw that we need something that's front and center, so
Yeah.
people have questions, they'll know what it is and what it isn't.
Right.
And then have the proclamation wording, and I think it's wonderful. I love the signs, I love this concept of identity. We have a lot to celebrate, and I think we all agree up here, so.
Alan,
That's great.
you want-
And Alan. Any thoughts or concerns, Alan?
You're muted, Alan.
Can you hear me?
Yep, got you.
Yeah, I think it'd be a wonderful thing. You know, you go downtown and you see all those old houses and there's awful lot of history there and everything, and a lot of people don't know too much about them when they come to town. Quite frankly, probably a lot of people that live here in town don't know a lot about those houses and whatnot. So I'm in favor of that. Perhaps, you know, the next meeting or something like that, when we draft something up, maybe we can pull it all together.
Perfect. I think we're all in violent agreement.
Great.
Thank you, and thank you for what you guys do. That's a real labor of love.
Thanks.
Thank you for that.
All the
Thank you.
options.
All righty. Our next item on the agenda are our enterprise budget presentations. And the first one on the list is recreation and special revenue budget.
Are you in that district?
Good evening. I am Stephanie Simpson, Director of Parks and Recreation. And yes, I am here tonight to talk about the special revenue budget. Next slide. There's 3 of us in the Recreation Department, myself and 2 programmers, Andy and April. Next slide. Why do we have a special revenue budget? This budget covers our programs and events and all revenues and expenses associated with them. So that includes, you know, staffing fees, our charges, program supplies, but it also covers some supporting things as well. Our registration software that we use, gas for the bus, gas for the mowers, background checks for the staff and volunteers, and some of the other technology programs we use to help promote our programs. By using an enterprise budget, it allows us to add and eliminate programs and events throughout the year, which helps us stay on trend, keeping an eye on the profitability of programs and whether or not they're successful. And then at the end of the year, we also transfer out some of the excess revenue into our general fund. Next slide. So our revenue categories that are in our budget, you can see the different categories there. Camps is the majority of the budget. Our after-school program also is a big chunk. We also have sports and fitness programming, special events, our preschool and youth, enrichment programs, adults, seniors, rentals, which includes our building and the beach wheelchair. And then we do a couple tournaments throughout the year. So as you can see, most of our revenue is coming in from camps in our after-school program. Next slide, please. Our expense categories include our instructor wages, the software, and administration stuff we use, our program expenses, which includes supplies for the programs, and then our fuel and maintenance. So again, you can see a large part of our budget here goes to wages for instructors. Next slide. Some future challenges that we're looking at, just based on those last couple slides, it's the increasing labor costs. We too feel that, and the rising supplies and material costs, which then challenges us in maintaining affordable program fees for the community. So we do look for different ways to supplement the budget in donations and sponsorships for a lot of our programs and events. This not only includes money, but we also look for in-kind donations, you know, different supplies. We get a lot of donations from residents, just arts and crafts supplies, different things like that, that we always try and take advantage of and use them throughout the year. Other maintenance issues we have, not that our facility is old in any way, but it is starting to age, and there are some maintenance things that we have to address. You know, small things right now, just painting, different things like that. But as it ages, those are things that we will have to look at. And then our transportation, our bus is 11 years old. It's a 2015. It doesn't have a lot of mileage when you look at the mileage itself, but it has a lot of miles on it, let's say, a lot of use. And so it is starting to also need repairs. occasionally, and so that is something we definitely need to keep our eye on throughout the next few years. Next slide, please.
I'm sorry?
I thought we got another bus. I must have missed something. right?
Not for Parks and Rec.
We talked about it in the capital plan in January, but it wasn't in the budget.
Didn't do it.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
And then just reminding you of our mission statement for the Parks and Rec. It is the mission of the Kennebunkport Parks and Recreation Department to enhance life for the citizens of Kennebunkport by maintaining quality parks and recreational facilities while engaging with various town stakeholders to provide the finest programs, athletic events, and leisure activities. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So just as an overview, you have the numbers in front of you. The total revenue is estimated at $532,000. Total expenses, including the $110,000 transfer to the general fund, is just shy of $500,000, leaving a potential balance of $33,000 in special revenue budget.
But indeed, that's the budget, but out of a revenue of 532, you're returning almost 20% to the general fund.
Yes.
Not only do you touch numerous lives of our kids, of our seniors, of anyone who goes to our park events, it is just, I think, an incredibly wonderful service that your group provides to the town.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
And the tennis courts are open today.
But there
just-
are no
just for Mary Beth.
pickleball courts.
No, didn't you, there was a ban, didn't you hear?
Uh-huh.
We banned it.
Yeah.
So how many bands are you having this year?
Three
Three?
concerts this summer.
All right. And the Fireman's Park, just want to let you know that I got my door knocker.
Yep.
Excellent.
And actually, it was a
Excellent.
great promo, too. It was well done.
Yes, Barbara Lyons has been out there putting them on every door.
Well, came to my house.
Great.
Do you want to tell them about the success in fundraising? so
Yeah,
far?
have you got it?
Sure.
Yeah.
So today I got 3 additional donations, so we are just over $10,000 now.
And the goal is
Well, that's great.
200,000.
Yeah, we got a ways to go, but that's
No,
okay.
no,
It's a
but that's
great
okay, that's
start.
the goal. I
Yes.
just wanted to remind anyone listening
Yes,
what
yes,
the
yes.
goal
Right,
was.
we're not
Yes.
done.
Yes, and a lot of playground companies have been reaching out to me because word
To
is
make
out. So,
donations?
yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Great.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our list is the wastewater budget.
Thank you for having me. I'm just going to introduce Peter, our key team member of our wastewater team. He's our operations manager overseeing the wastewater division, and so I'm going to let Peter actually do the presentation for this. So, Peter?
Thank you.
Peter, you certainly know how to clear a room.
Yeah.
Apparently so. People don't like to talk about wastewater until it's time. Good evening, I'm Peter Conroy, Operations Manager for the Kennebunkport Wastewater Division of Public Works. So the budget that we put together here, the budget team got together and we tried to really focus on maintaining system reliability, regulatory compliance, of course, and long-term and infrastructure needs. So we have set a goal of trying to commit $400,000 to $600,000 per year in investing in our critical equipment, pump stations, and treatment operations. This is a balance of necessary capital improvements while trying to also maintain some rate stability for our ratepayers. Next slide. So these are some trends that we've been seeing. As you can see, the yards of compost are no longer a thing for us as we are going to the landfill. In 2025, we saw a little bit of a dip in gallons treated, but about the same gallons of biosolids produced. I can tell you that in the first 4 months of this year, the gallons treated are up with the snow melt and the wet spring. Next slide. So I'd like to touch on what I talked about earlier, and these are some of the key capital investments that we're putting forward in this budget. As you can see, Goose Rock's Pump Station 12 is prone to flooding in the area that is currently in. Some of the key components that keep that pump station running are under that flood level. They're actually in the basement of that building that you see there. We are trying to get that critical gear above the water flood line so that the pump station will be more resilient and we will not have any failures. Next slide. This is a E1 pump station upgrade. So outside of our normal daisy chain, as Eric calls it, of pump stations, we have some of these outliers. We are making a concerted effort going forward to upgrade these pump stations, as some of the equipment that is there, mainly the electronics and the pumps themselves, are starting to age. We would like to prevent failure of these pump stations, so we are starting with our first one this year. Next slide. This is another ask that we are asking is for the lab refresh and equipment upgrade. As you can see, the lab is severely dated, and the equipment that is in there is, some of the equipment is in need of upgrade and replacement. So that is something that we're kind of trying to put together. Next slide. These are the return activated sludge flow meters. For those of you that don't know, we return some of our sludge and our bugs or bacteria back to the front of the plant as part of our process control for regulatory compliance. These, excuse me, these two pieces of equipment are, as you can see, starting to get long in the tooth, and they are critical to regulatory compliance and process control. Next slide. This is our Headworks air monitor system. It is about 15 years old. When we reached out to the contractor to provide replacement parts, they told us that they no longer make any parts for this particular system. This is of importance to the operators and staff, because inside of that building is where potentially H2S gas would start to compile. Inside of that room are several things that operators have to do daily, and they need to be able to know if they can go in that room safely or not. Next slide. This is another one for process control. So at the end of the last bond project, we had tried to get some new valves into our clarifier valve pits. These clarifier valve pits allow us, again, for multiple levels of process control. Right now, we only have about 50% of the process control available to us because the valves are failing. So that's another one that has been high on our list, and we are trying to push it forward. Next slide. So I'm going to touch on some of our core operational programs here. Most of the programs that we cover are construction support, engineering, customer service, and snow removal. Those are kind of outside of our normal, but those are ones that we focus on every day. Next slide. Sewer treatment operations and biosolids is really the bread and butter of what we do every day. This is process control through SCADA and multiple probes, sheets on sheets of tests throughout the day. And up in the top right-hand corner are brand new centrifuges, which are processing our biosolids. Next slide. This is the sewer collections and systems operations outside of the plant. As you can see, Jake is real happy about our brand new service truck that we just received and put into service. He really thanks everyone for helping that come together. You know, we're out there trying to make sure that this system is resilient and redundant and able to make sure that failures are kept to a minimum responsibly. Next slide. This is another one outside of our normal, but we do a lot of groundskeeping for multiple stations, buildings, and the plant itself, camera inspections, jetting, and dig safe for pretty much any project that comes within the lines of Kennebunkport in the Seward area. Next slide. So this is the proposed fiscal 27 rate increase. So you can see that the rate for fiscal year 26 was 708.74, sorry. And the proposed rate would be 742.95. That is a 4.83% increase. That is an increase of $34.21 per unit. And we feel that this is the best way to get our goals across and be fiscally responsible.
So, so can we, yeah, did you have questions?
No, go ahead, I think you're about to ask it.
So if you look on the spreadsheet we handed out that gives you an overview of the budget, so you will remember that we talked about our new semi-annual billing and how this first year we're only gonna bill for half and then pay ourselves back. So right now, this budget has in it, the second to the last expense line is called interfund loan repayment, which is,
107.
Right, it's 107,000, which is about a 10-year payback period. So every year, we would be putting that money into the budget. And so the revenue, where it shows sewer user fees at 1.8 million, so we would really only be committing 936,000 for this year, so that we would only collect that half payment, and using our fund balance to make up the difference. Is that clear, or
Say that last sentence one more time.
So we would be using our fund balance to make up the difference. So see, our sewer fund balance contribution is 200,000. That's a normal contribution. Where it says use of investment funds, we'll put use of semi-annual billing fund balance. And that number will be half of the $1.8 million. So that the first year out, we will only need to collect half, so that half payment will be in May, and then we'll have a second half payment in calendar year 27 for the new fiscal year. But each year we'll be contributing back to the fund balance.
What will the users see?
The users will see half of that bill, so $742.95.
Be about 371.
Yep, so in May of '27, they will get a bill for about $347.
Per
And
unit.
then we'll be paying ourselves back over time.
And then it'll be 6 months later, they will get
Another bill for 300 and something like that.
Exactly.
Because it'll be the FY '28 budget.
But on that ballpark.
Yep.
But it's just a way to try to,
And then we're one, after that, we're one bill a year.
Then, no, we'll still do two, it's just we'll have a full year going forward. It's
Correct.
just this first transition year that we're paying back. But every year after, we'll have two bills, one in November and one in May.
and the anticipation is that that bill would be lower unless something catastrophic happened.
Those bills will be half of
Yeah.
basically what they are now.
Right.
So each semi-annual bill will be half, but we'll
Right.
be billing for the full
So
amount
we're
as we
taking
do
the
now.
pain of that change in two chunks, so that's what people need to know. Great.
Okay, so can I,
Why can't we just go to $743?
I mean, you can if you want, if you want to make a motion, but
Gas is 499.99.
but it's just, so,
that's the way the nut cracked when we were done.
Yeah.
so the 43, so again, so take me through like what a person sees. So the 3421 per unit is per household or
Yeah.
per?
Per unit of sewer. So most households are 1 unit of sewer. Pretty
And
much
then-
all of them at this point.
Okay, and then, okay, so that's for a resident.
Yeah.
Resident.
As long as they don't have ADUs or anything that would cause them to have more units of sewer on their property.
So this May of '26, so in a month, we will be billing for the fiscal year we're currently in. Because remember, we're looking at the budget for next fiscal year right
Correct.
now. So this May, we will bill for a full year's worth.
Right.
And then in November, this FY '27, we won't bill. Because we're trying not to give people 18 months of bills in 12. And then we will bill in May of '27, the half bill. And then we'll be on a half bill cycle every 6 months.
So May of '26, we're billing. November of '27, we're not billing. May of '27, we are billing. And
May of
then-
'26, we're billing full. November of '26, we won't bill.
Right.
And then May of '27, we'll bill half, and November of '27, we'll bill half.
Okay.
But in half in addition to, right? I mean, what do you mean bill half?
No,
Or two times a
it's
year,
it's like the taxes. It's the annual, their annual
I
bill
see.
will be divided in two.
Got it.
That's how we pay property taxes.
We're just billing,
Right.
so
Yeah.
we tell you, you need to pay half each 6 months.
So I'm just going back to who sees what for the rate increase of the 5%. So a resident, as long as you, so per sewer stub on a resident, you're gonna see $34 increase.
Correct.
In your bill when we get to 27.
Correct.
And that will be split
Twice,
twice.
yes.
So how does it work with hotels?
So they would be, depending how many units they have, they would be 34.21 per each unit that they have.
Okay, so in general, how many units does a hotel?
Yeah,
Can-
2 rooms is a unit, so I mean, I'd have to know how
50
many rooms.
It's 25 units.
Yeah,
And if they have a restaurant.
Correct.
And if they have
and
employees.
seats in the restaurant, we charge for that as well.
Okay,
So I,
Tina knows all about that.
okay.
yeah, if
So
you have, I don't wanna get into
So,
that.
no,
Tina-
no,
Tina
but
can
I'm
give us the
just
list.
trying to understand like
Yeah.
I was just trying to understand like sort of the, what people are gonna be seeing.
Just so the business community understands, they are taking, and we're basically funding half the bills for '27 ourselves, so that we don't bill you in May for a full bill, and then in November, we'll bill you for half, so you'll pay 150% in one calendar year, because it would be coming at the end of your season. So the board did make a decision that we'll fund it ourselves, and to get us into the routine of semi-annual. When the town changed fiscal years many years ago and went to semi-annual building, they never did it with wastewater. And so we're billing at the 11th month of our fiscal year, which means we're short on cash. So we're trying to change that, but the board's been gracious in saying, let's absorb that and pay ourselves back over a 10-year period. Because for residences, it's not such a big deal, but for businesses, it would be a big deal, and the bill would come at the end of the season.
Yeah, good.
Thank you for that explanation.
Okay, we covered this one?
I just have one quick one.
Go.
So explain to me again, like the snow melt. How does that impact the gallons that we treat? It just seeps into our system
Yeah,
somehow?
over time, you have little spots where
Okay.
you'll just take water on. And so that happens. We're going through a process, and that's part of our special projects line in the budget. I forget which number it is, but we have a special projects line in there that we're going out and cameraing so many miles of sewer every year, so we can look for these type of situations.
I mean, where it's seeping in.
Where it's seeping
Yes.
in.
Where it's seeping in. So it's a low-pressure environment. Obviously, it's not under pressure or it would seep out.
Correct.
We have a few that we do pump, but
Yeah,
those we monitor the same
those we
way.
know pretty quickly when
Okay,
there's an issue.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Perfect.
I'm good, thank you.
Next slide.
Oh, we're not.
Oh, I got more. Okay, so this is our subsequent 4-year projection that the management team put together. So we're looking at roughly a 4% increase plus or minus across the next 4 years. And that's to maintain our, like we talked about, our $400,000 to $600,000 investment goal back into the infrastructure.
Yeah, so this has been one of the goals, is that the sewer department was not putting operational capital, and it was really dependent on bonds any times it wanted to do capital.
Right.
So we're trying to
Yeah, we gotta-
fund operational capital so we can do some of these smaller projects or do the engineering, and then when we do large pump stations, that would be bonded. So that has been we've been trying over the past few years to build that up. You can see the fund balance contribution, hopefully decreasing that. But the other thing we're facing is, because of PFAS, the large cost of removing our sludge, the reduction of our compost, and landfilling that. So some of these costs, as well as electricity, sewer's the largest electrical user in our departments. So those costs are really driving things. So we try to do a projection to make sure we're meeting that capital goal each year.
And another goal to add on to that we kind of focus on is large, unpredictable, failures or expenditures as best we can, right? So as we put these numbers in, Eric and I are kind of looking at how can we start investing in places that might be Achilles heels, so that we you know, don't have these things pop up later that are, you know, big expenditures that, you know, affect the percent much higher than 4.
You know, the Resilience Committee has been looking at the, how the usage of electricity through town as we are addressing the possibility to offset by solar, and surprised to find that almost, actually a little bit larger than 50% of the electricity that we consume as a town is used and during our wastewater processing.
Yeah.
So it is a major exposure to increases in electricity rates.
Yes.
Yeah.
And where are, just in general, or just remind me, the plant, the life expectancy of our plant, and what are we, our outlook for that?
I mean, there's nothing there right now that says we have anything to do in the near future. We do have a permit coming down. At some point, we're in the surveillance year, which means our permit is lapsed and we're waiting on a new permit. But until we see that permit, we
I
won't
think
really know.
in general,
Yeah.
we've made some replacements, like the clarifier project was a
Yeah.
big one. And so we've invested in pieces of it. The buildings are, you know, concrete buildings for the most part. The issue we're seeing is capacity. So it's about how many we're gonna take on and
Number
what
of
we might
units,
need
yeah.
for that. And two, it's these changing environmental regulations. And so we are probably gonna be an MS4 community because of the way the census was done in 2020. And instead of just looking at population, they looked at the density of population, and so that's what put Kennebunkport on the map for them. And other things that they're looking at regulating in terms of chemicals that we might have to take out of our system, and how we're gonna accomplish that.
So, MS4?
Government.
Yeah, you wanna speak that?
Yeah, so MS4 is really on the stormwater side. So we'll be looking at, there are 6 measures that the DEP or the EPA would require us to follow, which is good housekeeping. So we'd have to do things like clean all our catch basins out every other year. So we'd have 2 years to clean out all catch basins in town. We'd have to be sweeping a certain amount every year. So there's all these programs, like I said, 6 different measures that we need to meet. So it's a whole stormwater treatment program.
Okay, so that's because we're coastal and we meet
No.
because of coastal and density?
Any urban area would have been, so
Okay, so
it
it's
used
just
to be
density.
50,000, a regional area of 50,000 and above became immediately an MS4, and that's been for years now. So any major city, Biddeford, so on and so forth, we just happen to be in a sweet spot here where we kind of got missed. We were between a couple urban centers, so we weren't hit, so we've actually been able to skirt that. So we'd have to map out our stormwater system, we'd have to start cleaning, do more housekeeping. We're considered an industrial building, our highway garage would have to meet certain standards as well, so.
But
Yeah.
it's not directly wastewater, it's just cost to.
Yeah, it's a
your center.
stormwater,
Yeah.
often the MS4s are tied to the wastewater when they're a combined system. Some of these older systems, we are not. But yes, we would, on the
We are
highway side.
not on purpose.
We're not on purpose, right, no, absolutely, I mean, we were designed separated. So these older cities that really had combined stormwater and sewer systems were all together. City of Portland is a classic example, Biddeford, so on. They're basically, the sewer line and the storm drain lines were both common, they were just going to the river, going to the stream, going to the ocean. Yeah,
All right.
So the good news keeps coming with wastewater.
Yeah.
yep, I'm sorry.
Still not.
Still not done?
That's it.
Oh.
Next slide.
Great, thank you.
I got one more.
Oh, he wants to show you
Yes.
how good we are compared to
So
others.
this is how we compare. I completed this survey this morning. So as you can see, we're very competitive with where we're at right now for our rates. I know that Saco's about to pass a huge bond, and South Portland just passed a bond and has another one coming, and York is about to put one through. So those rates are gonna climb pretty quickly. I live in Saco, so I know that bill's going up in the next year, so I'm not looking forward to that. All right, any questions while I'm here? Anything I didn't cover for you?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
Thanks for the work.
Next on Our agenda is the Cape Porpoise Pier. Frank.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Frank Orr. I'm the Harbor Master and Pier Manager for Cape Porpoise Pier. I have a slideshow to show you here, including several pictures of the new building that were taken today, so you can see the current state of the project. Next slide, please. We're holding steady at 8 pier members for Cape Porpoise Pier. 34 of them are commercial, 16 recreational, 3 dealers, and 5 punt use. 226 moorings currently in all of the anchorages in town, and 62 requesters on the wait list for Cape Porpoise Harbor. My priorities this year will be supporting the final stages of the rehabilitation project, and once the facility's online and running, establishing the new procedures. Next slide. The proposed budget that I'm bringing to you tonight was proposed unanimously by the Pier Advisory Committee at our meeting in March. For the revenue summary, they're projecting reduced fuel sales, which will lower our total revenue projections by about 13%. The revenue for the moorings and the pier dues is increasing by 2.8% for fiscal year 2027. Part of this is the Pier Committee approved an increase in the mooring fee from $90 to $100 for the individual mooring holders. This doesn't cover the pier members who get 1 mooring for free. It's basically all the single moorings in the anchorages and extra moorings that the pier members might have.
Why is fuel
Going down.
revenue going down?
Less
usage?
Well, we've already lost 5 months of this year,
Aha.
and, well, that's this fiscal
That-
year.
So it's not a general usage.
Right.
It's
They're
just because
they're
of-
projecting the usage rates to be lower next fiscal year
For 20,
for 27.
Starting like in July.
In July, so less
June.
volume.
I guess.
I think one of the issues is that the majority of the fuel down there is purchased by fishermen. And depending on fuel prices, fishermen will be
Oh, they
making
might
some
not go
tough
up.
choices.
Gotcha. Okay.
For the expense summary, the total expenses for next year are projected to be a little more than 10% lower than they were for fiscal year 2026. We've lowered the projections for gasoline and diesel expenses as well with the predicted lower average usage. One of the bigger increases in the budget for the individual line items is the electricity. The new heating system is a heat pump. So the heating fuel has been eliminated from the budget, but we're anticipating the electricity usage will go up to cover both the HVAC system in the office and the additional hoist and additional chiller that the refrigeration system will use. Another category that had a noticeable jump, which will be just for this year, is the technology and software line item to buy a new laptop for the office. And finally, with the new hoist and chiller, the maintenance cost for inspections and preventive maintenance will go up by $550 for that line item. So the annual fee for that is about $35.50. Next slide, please. And that's pretty much all I have to present for you tonight. If you have any questions, I'm here.
So in terms of the Cape Porpoise Pier budget, this will be the first year we're back in terms of selling fuel. We have not suggested a surcharge increase on the markup on fuel, figuring that fuel costs are going to be challenging as they are. As Frank said, we did suggest that we take our mooring fees to $100, so that would be for next summer, not this summer. And that is something the board would have to vote on separately to set that fee. And we did use the CPI as of December for the dues fees, which has been our practice.
What are mooring fees in other harbors? Do we have any idea?
Yes. In Portland, they're 100. which would match us. Kennebunk has a tiered rate structure in the river. Commercial users pay $125, recreational residents pay $175, and non-resident recreational pays $250. Biddeford charges $180 for their moorings, Wells charges $200, and Saco charges $150. Algonquit charges a lot more than we do, but they own and maintain all the mooring gear that's owned by our mooring holders here, so I didn't count that because it's not apples to apples.
I think one of the challenges we have with our moorings in Cape Porpoise Harbor, and not all moorings are the same. We used to have when I got here, we just started charging and regulating moorings, which to me was a very long history of not doing it for a community like ours. And we had a two-tiered system. We had the mud moorings at a lower fee. Eventually, those fees were all regulated to the same level. So there are people who have moorings, I'd say, in not ideal conditions, where in other harbors, everyone's got a deep mooring. So it's been challenging, I think, to find that right price.
Yeah.
And do we charge for Goose Rocks or for, in the Patty's Cove, do we charge moorings there or not? Is
Yep.
it just, so we do there as well?
It's $100 across the board. Turbids Creek,
90,
Patty Creek,
90
I'm sorry,
right now.
currently
90,
90.
yes,
We're
exactly.
proposing going to 100.
And residents pay the same as non-residents?
Currently, yes, but we're looking into that as well.
Do you have a sense of how many are non-resident occupied moorings?
I don't have that information yet. I'm working on that with Nicole.
Yeah.
It was an idea brought up at the peer committee meeting, and then the question was, what would we define as a non-resident? So we were looking at non-taxpayers, because there are a lot of people who don't live here year-round. So they're looking at what that potential change would be.
It's a good thought.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Government
that's-
work?
Who's government?
Yep, finally, on our budget, we have, actually, there's two more.
We're not
we
doing
have-
government work?
I'm sorry?
We're not doing government war?
Government Wharf was last on the list, but are you gonna do
Are you
it?
doing government war?
No, he doesn't do
So we'll
government.
move on by the list to the Dock Square parking lot budget.
So that's gonna be done by Nicole.
Okay.
So on our Dock Square parking lot budget, we are projected to generate $840,000 in revenue, and that is due to increasing the fees at the parking lot from $5 to $6 per hour. And then our expenses, we're looking at $782,671 to support the day-to-day operations of the parking lot. And the majority of the expenses are attributed to personnel expenses and our transfer to the general fund, which offsets the operating cost in the general fund for the parking lot. In our salaries, just to give you kind of a breakdown of what's in that, we charge 30% of our technology specialist, 25% of our communications and event specialist, 40% of an officer. We also have our parking lot attendants, our CSOs, the bus attendant, and our booth attendants, and that makes up the personnel part of it. Most of the rest of the budget. This year.
You're adding
The bus attendants.
the bus.
Yes.
the bus.
You mean
I
for
just
next
wanted to
year.
emphasize that.
We are adding the bus
What was the
attendants.
30%?
For the technology specialist, Dave.
Dave oversees all the machines down
Yep,
there.
Down there, yep.
The rest of the line items, pretty much, there really wasn't anything crazy, just those two personnel and the transfers. Are there any questions on that budget?
Yeah, I'm just curious, so the salaries and wages cost has gone up by a couple 100%? Is that, I mean, from 52, it looks like from 99, so it's double, from 99 to 218?
Yes, and that's due to the bus attendants.
Right. Okay, the buses, and we increased the hourly rate by 20%. Maybe we want to take a look back at that hourly rate to, you have 100% increase in a cost, maybe we need to look at recouping a little bit more than a 20% increase in the revenue.
Yeah, and part of the challenge for this summer is that the chaser tickets that we are gonna send out to all taxpayers have a dollar value associated with them. And so we've already printed them at the $6 an hour value, but that's something you could certainly look at next year.
Yeah, I thought we were going to the license reader.
So we were going
Okay.
to go to that, and unfortunately, the company we were working with Dock Square, was not able to meet their commitments with us. And so we are going to look at a different vendor, but I said we did not have the time to implement it in time for a May opening. So we're gonna keep our Amano equipment operating for another year.
That's why David's
Which
time is
means
going
that,
up.
which meant, because we weren't planning to send the chaser tickets out
Right.
because people would have that value.
Right, yeah.
So we just printed chaser tickets and we're just mailing them to everybody this year.
Okay, but I would just suggest we take a look at it when we're yeah, I just parked at lunch in Portland and it was $13 plus a $3 fee, 3% fee for using a credit card, and you can only use a credit card, and so, I mean, I think it's still a good deal, even if at $6 or $7, $8, it's still a great deal for at $10, you'd still be, you'd still be ahead, but just to take a look at what would be a fair price to offset the additional cost that we're incurring in running the parking lot.
So we're gonna be looking at a new vendor for the parking lot for next year,
2027.
for 2027. So we can actually open it up to more.
I think that we did look at the vendors that are out there. There was a company, T2, and they have all the equipment we need. It's just that they were a lot more expensive. And so we went with Flowbird, but Flowbird was not able to.
What was I mean, without, disclosing any, inside, what was the problem?
Yanina would be best to describe that.
Sure. I think overall, when I was doing my research, and this research started about over a year ago on different vendors. Every vendor consistently told us that the 5-hour limit per ordinance is a very challenging thing.
So this says that by ordinance, we give everybody 5 free hours of parking.
Yes.
And that ordinance piece really limited us in working with other vendors.
So like, for example, Passport, when I asked them, because we will be working with them for goose trucks, said automatically we can't even imagine how we would do this. The problem with chaser tickets is that many machines are moving away from the slots for money or extra slots, basically. And it's also a lot of manual labor. So I tried to attach 5 hours to the license plate, car plate.
Like a credit.
Like a credit. The problem is we give these chaser tickets and you can attach 2 license plates per household. There are a lot of logistic details into this. So with all of that, when I discussed this with Flowbird, they promised me they can do all of that and more. Their sales team said that. And I'm just gonna emphasize the sales team part. And then when I talked to the project manager, he said, I didn't even know we had these features, and we actually don't have these features. So I sent them a long email explaining that this is frustrating, and I promised something to the board, and we cannot deliver. So I said, there is no way we're paying for any of it until you guys figure this out. And then I reached out to T2. But the 5 hours limit that's what keeps triggering this problem for us.
Okay.
Thank you.
No,
Thanks
no.
for the work and sorry for the frustration, but,
Wow.
Yeah, it'd be
Well-
interesting to think through if there's another way to get to the 5-hour
That's
credit
what I'm thinking.
versus a
too.
Yeah, I mean,
reimbursement.
I don't think you can necessarily live in an antiquated parking system anymore because we've got something
Yeah,
that's.
to force something that's just out of, especially if it's gonna cost us a lot more money to go to something that would get it, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, we did analyze a couple of years ago how many people really use the chaser tickets. Do you remember the percentage?
It was
small.
It's got,
So it was under 20% usage of those who does request chaser tickets. So
Yeah.
not everyone
Even
requests
requests them.
And it was under 20% of those who uses them. So we did look into this, and, you know, we're still trying to find
We
solutions.
did talk to the
but-
board about looking at the ordinance, and
Yeah.
it's very, yep, I did. And the board at the time said, absolutely not, because it's very popular. I think one of the challenges as well with the chaser tickets is you have to remember them when you're gonna go park. And I hear from people all the time, oh, I left them at home.
Yeah.
And that was one benefit of the license, because you didn't have to have them anymore. But the sales team promised more than the implementation team could deliver.
So it gives us time over the next year to really look into systems and see what else
And
needs to
study
change.
the chaser.
Well, it's
This
to think about different ways of reimbursement versus maybe the chasers.
Right.
You know,
And
Yeah.
understand the cost delta that's driven by having to have the chasers too.
When I first got here, we would give people pieces of paper.
Right.
And then they would give it to the person there. So,
As you left.
right, so as we move to these more technologically advanced programs, it becomes more and more difficult to meet that requirement.
Gotcha.
Tina?
Hi, Tina Gordon. Speak just from as known Anthem. I'm just curious, I know you said that chaser tickets are already printed. I have no idea what those cost, but I can't imagine that they're that expensive. And to Joe's point, I would think that increasing the monies just by $1 would really offset that. Because I believe at one of the meetings here, when we were talking about some of the Prelude funding mechanisms, David asked and also posed the question of if we could increase the price of the tickets by $1, what would that equate to? And I believe you thought that that would be about $120,000. So just with all due respect, it would be something to consider if it's just the amount of
Yeah, it's
reprinting a ticket. Maybe it's not that
It's
easy.
just that our staff have to go through the process, so it's labor as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
But-
I think it's a good
But
point.
your point, Tina,
to
is,
look at
is,
the-
is
you go.
is very, your point is very well taken, and I think it's something that the board will probably need to look at over the course of the next year.
I do think we need to like open the aperture and think about other means other than the chaser tickets. You know,
Yeah,
there's
there are
gotta
other
be a
needs in
different,
town, yeah.
in this day and age,
In
there's
this
gotta
day
be
and age,
another
I
way
mean,
to.
you can just do it on your phone in most towns,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, it's,
I mean, there are definitely options, and we looked into QR codes, we looked into validation through the license plates, we looked, there are options, it just, again, the whole idea, I don't know, it's clear in my head, but it doesn't seem clear
The
in my head.
companies
Doesn't
can't
work.
implement it, is what they tell us.
Yeah, and
They
I
say
think-
nobody has anything like this, and they've never had to do this
And so
before.
that's why I'm thinking of even backing out of the chaser into the parking lot, but somehow figure out a way to honor the ordinance without getting into the chasers and the confusion and the kerfuddle with the current systems, you know?
Well, what I'd like to know is, you said 20% of the people who requested the tickets used them. And man, my chaser tickets are still in the visor of my car because I forget and whatever. But what number is that? What number does 20% represent? If 1,000 people get chaser tickets, that's 200 people. If 500 people get, you know the math. I'm not good at math, but, so I'd like to just know, what is that 20% number represent in a real empirical, you know, how many people would be upset if they didn't get their chaser ticket and we just said we're not doing that and changed the ordinance?
This number was, as Lori mentioned, like 3-ish years ago that we were in,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I will
just-
run
just-
your report and
yeah,
give
just a
it to
number.
Lori.
Any
I will
number is
give-
better than no number.
Yeah.
All righty, any thoughts on that? Then we will move on to the last, which
Thank
is
you.
government war.
Thank you, Nina.
So our government wharf is another enterprise budget that we
Nicole, we're supposed to thank Nicole for the parking lot too. Thank you, Nicole.
We are projected to generate $14,252 in revenue, and that is due to increasing the user fees by 2.9%. And then our expenses focus on utilities, infrastructure maintenance, and a repayment of a condenser purchase from fiscal year '25. It's a pretty small budget. Is there any questions?
No?
Thank you.
Sounds good, thank you very much. So that should wrap up our discussions on the enterprise
Alan,
funds.
do you have any questions?
Alan, do you have any questions? Not fair.
No, I'm all set. I'm here. I'm a little slow on the draw.
All right, it's no problem at all. Wouldn't understand.
So this is normally when the board either tells us what changes they want to make or they accept these budgets as presented, because the commitment for wastewater would normally come to your last meeting in April.
All righty, so are there any changes that would be requested by the board in these
Budgets?
budget items?
I think they're all well put together.
Yeah. I understand that, I mean, the biggest one that has an impact to our residents would be the wastewater, but I understand the methodology behind it and what we're trying to achieve and stay away from the bonds, so I think that's solid strategy.
And the only other question I would have is, I get the budget, I have no problem with, on the dock square, but if we did decide at some point between now and next year's budget to increase the fee again, this doesn't impact that. We can do that and just have more revenue, correct?
Yeah, I don't think anything.
Yeah.
As long,
After the
the only thing
chasers.
it impacts is the chaser tickets at this point.
Yeah, okay,
so,
yeah, all right.
All right, so I think hearing none, we're good with it.
Okay.
All righty, item 8.
So we're voting on these budgets?
Do you
We
wish to
don't
vote?
have anything
We don't
on
have
that.
anything to vote?
We don't.
But no, we're calling a vote to approve these budgets. So I would like to ask for a motion to approve all of the budgets as presented.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Alan. All righty, item 8. Authorize change order for Cape Porpoise Pier for the engineering extensions thereof and therein.
Yes, so our engineering firm is, for the Cape Porpoise Pier has requested an increase since the timelines have gone longer. And there's also been some various items that they've had to address. Some of the changes, you've seen the change orders, so we'll be upwards of change order number 9. So they've had to also work administratively to try to support those change orders as well as the contract itself has gone longer, as you're all aware of.
You have a comment and a question.
Yes.
So, understand the change orders, if there's a substantive cost to doing the change order, right? But to say the project has gone over what our estimate and agreed upon completion date is, and there are change orders which we're charging you for, and we're gonna charge you for additional administrative overhead costs in order to work through the time that the project went over when we committed that it would be done, that seems like we're sort of being double tapped with some of those administrative costs. I understand you might not have the information, but it just seems to me a little bit unreasonable, maybe. I mean, they're just sort of very,
Yeah.
you know.
And I would agree that at the beginning of a project, somebody puts together a budget, and as they get through it and they burn through basically the engineering hours, they're finding out that they may not have budgeted correctly at the front end, and that's possible. And I don't want to speak for them, but that's certainly one of the possibilities. The other aspect is we are putting more resources in right now. We've got engineers we're meeting on a weekly basis now as opposed to bi-weekly basis, because we're just trying to stay on top of this project and get the things done. So I'm more into the project now than I probably had been in the past, at Lori's request. So I would tell you that probably one of their engineers is probably there about 2 to 3 days a week to try to stay on top of all the details. I'm helping on the administrative end, trying to make sure that the town and the permitting and the inspections happen and those types of things happen, as quickly as possible so that we can just move to the next step. So there's some of that, and I'm sure that's some of it. I can't speak to the number and the value that they're putting into it right now. you know, we're north of $500,000 in engineering fees for an $8.5 million project.
And again, it's just, I'm running late, I'm gonna speed, and I'm gonna charge you extra for the extra gas that I burn speeding to make up for the fact that I'm running late.
Plus, you have to pay for the ticket that you
Plus, you
get.
have to pay for the ticket when I get, you know, get a ticket.
Yeah, and I think I'm with Joe. When you read the rationale from the engineering consultants of why, you know, they list front, center, you know, that the project has run over. And I think what I'm having trouble with is, and Eric, this isn't, like, I'm not looking for you to answer it by any means.
And it's this is not any, I know you're down
Yep.
there, you know,
Yep.
with your sleeve rolled up. I'm just curious about the bill.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that I think I was having trouble over, and I spoke at the last meeting. I didn't want to dive down that rabbit hole again, but I'm just supporting Joe's viewpoint, which is I had trouble reading this document and then saying, okay, I know there were things that happened, but then I can go back, you know, because I have a pretty good memory, and I can go back and think through all the things of why we moved, and then the problems with the resources, which is not a problem with the town side of it, and that was a problem from their side of it, is they couldn't get the resources there to complete some of the things. They had problems with that. So that shouldn't, like, in normal project world, I wouldn't take responsibility of that cost. I would say that's on you guys. So that's where I was, when I read it, I had a little trouble with that, because I thought, yeah, that's on you guys. You know, I don't know what went on in your world, but at this point, now I look at the other side of the coin. And the other side of the coin is, we need this to get done.
Right.
And they, since the last meeting that they were here and spoke to the board, they have now upped the ante with resources. You are involved, they're involved, because we said, you can't go beyond this date, because we have lobster people there, we have fisher, men there, we have businesses there, we have residents, we have tourists, that we need to get access to the pier.
I mean, the comments you're making are not surprising. And we have sat at those construction meetings and said those words. And I said, the board is not going to accept this. And this memo you have is the third rendition of this memo, because there was zero explanation the first time. And so we have made it clear to them, but there is not a connection with the firm in terms of responding to these concerns. This is one reason I deal a lot with Woodard and Curran and Barry Chef, because they have been responsive. And we had Wright Pierce before, and I couldn't deal with them anymore. And GEI, we've had 3 different project engineers on this. Our project engineer, Nate, is down in Rhode Island, and he's attending by Zoom. And so they brought Barney back out of retirement. And so I am as angry as you are about this. But Eric has told me he needs those engineers to help him get to the end.
It's some very detailed things that we need to wrap up. And, whether it's HVAC and different things, we've moved some equipment around.
And I did not have them come to the meeting tonight because I did not want to pay them to sit here.
Yeah.
No, we're appreciative of that.
Yeah, there's some detailed work that is really outside my skill set that I shouldn't be necessarily weighing in on. So I do need some support from them on that.
So
the original contract, all right, so am I reading this right? The original contract was 6.1 million, and now up to 7.5 million?
The original contract, well, part of this is.
We added some stuff, though.
Well,
That
we added
grew.
some, but
That
some of the
grew.
change orders I get were
Well,
stuff
the
that we
more-
required.
No, that was before the change order.
The design increased, the scope increased.
Yeah, so the resiliency was 850,000 by itself, so raising the pier by 2 feet was 850,000.
So we wanted that.
Yeah.
Yes, we wanted that.
We own that.
So basically, it was $1.5 million worth of change orders to date.
Yeah.
But 850 of that was the resiliency component, and then there was The hoist and pallet delivery system, the water line extension, contaminated soils,
Well, no, we have the soils, yeah.
But
Yeah.
North South, I mean, we did a lot of stuff was added, right?
roof electrical.
South,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did that, we did the
Yeah.
same. So how do we, okay, so we understand that we're all in the frustration boat. And you guys are pulling out the stops to make sure that you're involved, and we appreciate that. So how do we convey to them that, and so I saw in the document, it's a May 15th clear out, and then they come back some other time for the final paving. Are we really on a May 15th? Are we, you know, are we out looking more change orders? What's your read for the board?
What remains to be done is really a lot of internal work. So the fire protection, so we need to get sheetrock, so we need to get the sheetrockers in so that we can insulate one more time, so that we can get the sheetrockers back in and close those walls, because we're spray foaming the walls. The electrical people are working there now. People that are not showing up are some of the people, like the roofing people. Their equipment was on site, it was brought on site early this week. They started to bend some metal. They weren't nowhere to be seen today. So frustration. So, and this is a subcontractor to our contractor. You know, the decking on the South Pier is being laid down as we speak. So Proc's people are working, their subcontractors are not showing up as needed.
We don't have an ability to put penalty clauses on this. That has to be done up front, I take it. So this is too late for that. I mean, they need to stand by something and have some teeth if they go beyond it. But I'm afraid we're probably out of the zone that we can put that in place.
I'd be happy to look over the actual document just to give it an eyeball, but
Yeah,
I'm not gonna render a legal opinion.
No,
I'm just gonna
but-
take a review.
It is frustrating. It's just slipped and slipped and slipped, and now we're paying for the slip. That's just,
Well,
but then again,
yeah.
we need to get it done. So this
Do you think May 15th is, come May 16th, are they gonna be gone and we're gonna have a project? Or, I mean, I'd rather know the truth than not come on May 16th to find out we're
So
still
we,
sitting
we
there.
were down there on site on Monday, talking to Sean from Proc and saying, so this is really gonna be May 15th. It's gonna be substantially complete, which means that it will be working. I'd say my concern is Hardy Pond for the most part, and the roof.
Which is Devon.
What?
Which is Devon's.
Which is Demons. And so, you know, Sean expressed frustration to us. He had the Friday before, you know, the owners of Hardy Pond in there and you know, the movers and shakers and supposedly they understood the urgency. I would tell you that it has been a lot of people telling you the right things. There's just not the action follow-up. And so that is, I think Sean is on top of the rest of it. To me, that's the concern I have.
So do we have the ability to agree on the change orders? But do we have the ability to hold back funds? Is it just like would do in a normal project, to hold back the funds to the engineering facility engineers until they get completion?
I mean, I'm sure we have performance bonds on hand. If they do not complete or what have you, we would call that bond in, and we would have somebody finish the project for us. I think they're very capable of finishing the project. We need those individuals to show up. So, so that is one of the methods, you know. I'm sure liquidated damages have probably been built into the contract. It's another discussion. But
Do we know if we ever retain it? Have we not paid, are we holding back retaining?
Yes.
oh yes, absolutely.
So that could be
Yeah.
another, okay.
Yeah, and that's really just it's kind of a guarantee period, so would probably, the typical contract would drop to 2% once a substantial completion, then they got a year to complete the punch list items or what have you, not a year, but, you know, there's punch list items anyways, after that, then you can drop retainage to 2%, once that's complete, but.
I think it's very difficult to swallow paying somebody for being late. It's just so hard to wrap my head around the fact that I don't think I've ever paid anybody to be late. I don't think I've ever paid anybody for additional costs that they've incurred because they weren't able to do whatever. That's within, we don't have control of that. And so that's my personal problem,
Yeah.
is I'm just having like a gut wrenching thought that the town's gonna hand over money, and I thought we were still April. So when I read May 15th, I'm like, did we really hear May 15th last time? But anyways, that's another point.
Yeah.
So that's why I have, like everyone is saying, you and Lori, I mean, none of us, we've been to this song and dance how many times? None of us have. We have like no sense of that this is actually going to happen at this point, you know? Because it's just, I know you guys are working your tails off, and I know they're pulling in people, and I think that's great, and it's great that they heard us when we said, you gotta get it done. But I wasn't expecting the bill for being late.
I don't know if Alan has any thoughts, since he's down there quite often.
Hey, Alan, what you thinking?
You hear me?
Yep,
Yes.
gotcha.
I usually put it on mute so you don't hear me cough. Well, you know, it's been a long year and a half, really, if you stop and think about it. And I want to see this done. You know, May 5th, I mean, these guys are already starting to set gear out this year and everything else. I mean, I don't know whether you want to hold back. What's the implications if you're going to hold back the engineering of $64,560? Does that mean they're just going to walk off the job and just leave us hanging and we won't be able to get the job done? I don't know what the answer is, but that's a question. It really needs to be done. I mean, it's a holdup if we decide not to pay the engineering. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they need to come in and have a chat with us.
I think we've
No,
had
we don't
3
wanna-
rounds
yeah.
of chats with them,
I don't
according
wanna
to
pay them
Lori.
to have a chat with us. I'll go down to the dock when they're working, and we can talk with them.
Well, that's fine. I don't care. Any way you want to do it, that's fine with me. I have no problem with that.
I think they've
But I
heard
mean,
from
I
us,
just don't
right?
want to see this, I don't want to see this going into July and August. That would be ridiculous.
Have we asked them to sharpen their pencil? Have we told them this is not, I think we have, right? We've already, 3 different times we've
We
iterated
have
this.
said everything. I have
Yeah,
never
yeah.
had a project where I feel like the person on the other end just is not engaged. It's milquetoast I'm talking to. I've never had that, because
Well,
I have some strong language with them and in some very direct conversations. We meet weekly. So this Tuesday, I told them that we're gonna have a ribbon cutting the week after May 15th, and our federal delegation and our governor will be invited to a ribbon cutting that week. And wouldn't it be embarrassing if
We had to cancel.
they weren't ready for it? So I did give them that
You
deadline.
did. She did.
Guys, we're in a rock and a hard spot here.
No, I
this is,
think, I hear you. I think, to Alan's point, you're gonna have to approve the change order. We still have money left. It's not like
We
we're.
still
it's
have
not like
money
we're-
left.
Yeah, I just don't want them to get that.
No, I
So
got
that's-
it, but I think.
Well,
that-
you could agree to the change order and then not agree to any payments until the project's complete.
So we're at 6.1, and it's an $8.5 million project. We're at 6.1 at this time.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea. Let's, at a minimum, agree to the change order, but we're not releasing a nickel until they're complete.
There's a lot of materials that's going down. There's floats that have been purchased and moored. There's materials out there that
We'll pay the
Big John.
ODCs, we'll pay ODCs, nothing above the direct cost, nothing above ODCs.
Yeah.
But I think to Alan's point, we have to understand if that means people are gonna not show up, or if that means, so I think, I don't know which way to split this one.
Well, maybe can we approve the change order and pay what we need to pay under the normal course of the agreement, but before the final payment, right? we can, because we're holding some back until it's substantially completed, but as.
2%.
Right?
Well, so we have two contracts, right? So the first change order that we're asking for is the
68,000
68,000
for the engineers.
For the engineering. So that's a service contract that we have there that they will charge as they go.
So we
Yeah,
don't
they
hold-
do the work, then they bill you.
Yes.
That's our problem, because they're charging us for being late.
All right, keep working.
So the other change orders, 6, 7, 8, and 9, those are just changes to the work so that the
Yeah.
So
contractors
I'm
provide.
okay with the 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, that's the
So why don't we-
additional pavement.
Why don't we approve that while we're talking?
Yeah, I mean, if it's actual materials.
Yeah.
I agree, item 9, the 6, 7, 8, and 9 is, no, I don't have any issue with that. I think the engineering costs are where the issue is, but I think at this point in this project of this scope with a government entity, I don't think the engineers are gonna go on strike for $64,000. I just don't think so, but I'm not willing to bet the pier completion on that, but I think.
They currently have about $7,000 left in their allocation.
Yeah, but I think maybe it's worthwhile, maybe this gives you and Lori the ability to go back and say, hey, look, the board is very fill in the blank,
Unhappy.
whatever, unhappy, and questions why we should be on the hook for, for these particular costs, the engineering costs, and they want a more detailed breakdown and a response. And they should bear, the board feels that, I'm speaking for myself, not everybody else, but I feel the engineering company should give us, they should share some of the burden that they themselves have created.
We actually said that to them when
Right.
they were here last.
Well, I think they need
this
to
isn't
show up
that.
on their nickel here and
Right.
explain it to us.
Right.
They charged us.
All right.
So,
So I think
what
what we need to understand, though, based on what Joe just said, we gotta loop back to what Alan said. And we gotta maybe hear from Eric and Lori in terms of their perception. So we don't know this engineering company. To Joe's point, do they, have so much skin in the game that they'll hear it and they'll say, okay, we'll wait for our money, we're good to go, we'll wait. Or are they just gonna not show up next week?
I can't walk away.
I would agree that I think it would be in bad form for them to drop the project and walk away. I would surprise me professionally to have a firm do that. I think they will, they would want to have that discussion and basically ask as to, what would be adequate to finish it.
I'm happy to deliver that message.
Yep.
yeah,
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is that we want to move ahead with item 9, which is after this, the next item, which is to approve the change orders that we have requested for additional pavement, the change orders for the new landing and access to the Chowder House, upgrade the power to allow for the electric hoist at the rear of the building, and to approve access for the heat pump that will be moved to the mechanical room.
Right.
So those are all things that we have desired.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
second.
A first and second, all in favor?
Wait, ask Alan.
Alan?
Aye.
Thank you.
Well, I didn't know if we needed.
Thank you,
All right.
Eric.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you.
Good job, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
We're not frustrated with you,
No,
okay?
not
we're
you,
not. We're actually grateful that you're going down there and doing all the work that you're doing,
We've
so we
agreed
appreciate
to
it.
carry forward our displeasure, so that takes care of that one. All righty. So no further discussion on that. Moving on to number 10, which is the authorization of the June warrant. Do I have?
I think he turned the mic off.
Thank you,
I saw him do it. I've heard of dropping.
I guess I don't really need to explain it too much, but this is the warrant that we've been talking about now for several meetings, and it just breaks down what's going to be voted on at the June town meeting.
Town meeting ballot.
Both.
Both.
And the.
Yes.
I'm good.
Just they're both meetings. Do we have any discussion on that? Alan, do you have any input?
No, I'm fine with it.
So I will make a motion to authorize the June town meeting warrant.
Second.
For first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you.
Next one is me too.
And
so
then the
I'll
next
just
one.
Stay
to-
here.
Yep.
So this is to certify the ordinance change on the ballot and also the order to put the ordinance on the ballot as well as the question for
Prelude funding.
prelude, yes.
Uh-huh.
So it's just formality that we have to sign those.
And that was the valet, that, one of those was the, yep.
The parking.
Okey doke. Any discussion?
I'll make a motion to authorize the certification order for the ordinance on the June ballot.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Are you doing 21 too?
I'll
Why
just
not?
stand here in case there's any questions.
Excellent.
So the
So-
next one is the warrant for the RSU validation election.
And this is not
This is-
okaying anything that has to do with dollars, this is
Right.
just something we
This is-
gotta do.
Exactly,
So they- so-
procedure that we have to.
And do we have a thing
Countersign.
we've gotta sign? Great, and we'll do that at the end of the meeting? Perfect. So, but we do need a motion.
I will make the motion to countersign the RSU 21 warrant.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Alan.
And just an add-on to that, the school district budget meeting will be May 4th, which is a Monday night at 7 PM at Kennebunk Elementary School. So if anyone has questions about what they're proposing for their budget, that would be the time for residents to attend and voice their opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
All righty. I think the last substantive item we have is the consideration of the motor coach reservation cancellation policy. Lori.
Yeah, so as we are implementing the motor coach reservation system, one of the questions that has not been answered is what happens if somebody cancels a reservation? And do they get their money back or not? So I put together a draft policy that talks about if they don't show, if they cancel, if they want to modify their reservations, what happens if the town cancels because there's an emergency. So in general, we have a processing fee that we're absorbing into the cost, which is about $4 to $5. And so we have made these cancellations to not include that administrative fee, so we'll be made whole for that. I think John was proposing that in the event of a town cancellation, that we would eat that administration
I think
processing
I got talked
fee.
out of that in
Okay.
speaking with the board members, so.
So that was a question. And so the real question is, if we are opening up reservations for 30 days in advance, what is a likely time period to cancel? Certainly, we want to make sure people are invested and aren't just taking spots for the sake of it, knowing they'll get their refund back. We talked to a couple of others. Some say they have a 30-day window that you have to cancel. We would really like people to leave those openings for people who do want to come. So, I think there is a balance there. And so I had suggested 7 days, that you need to give us 7 days notice in order to get your partial refund. And in terms of modifications, to me, what the impact to us would be is staffing. So, to at least know 24 hours in advance of a change would be important. So those are our suggestions.
I think this looks awfully complete, awfully good. Thoughts?
I think I'm good with this because it is our trial year per se, so we can see, we can see how many people fall within that 7-day window or how many people are contacting us to look for a grace period. We can learn, from the different people coming, the different types of buses coming into town, how they work and what do they actually need from us so that we can all.
It's a good first
I think it's a good
structure.
first draft.
David?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Well,
Great.
Fine.
Joe?
That's good.
no, I think it looks
Great.
fine. I think it's fair.
All righty, then I would entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the cancellation modification policy as written.
Second.
I have a first and a second, and further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. All righty, we're on other business. Alan? I tried to catch it before you muted. Alan, you have any other business?
No, I don't. Thanks, John.
Perfect. Joe?
No, sir.
David?
I have none tonight.
Mary Beth?
None.
None for me. Lori?
None. None.
Nicole and Janina are good, then,
David?
Oh,
no, I have.
no, we have to
No, I have one
approve the
more.
treasurer's warrant.
We approve the April 9th, 2026 treasurer's warrant.
So moved.
First, second, all in favor?
Aye.
David?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
First and second, all in favor? Thank you. Thank you, folks.
Aye. You guys